My name's Cowdell, and I think the reason that I'm here this afternoon is because the ideas that I'm going to talk about have really captured the imagination of Father Nikolai Blasko, who's associated with this school, and through him, or subsequently, Richard Browning as well. And I think that some of these ideas are finding their way officially into the curriculum here at Radford. My talk this afternoon is called The Dark Underbelly, Violence, Culture and Religion. We all know about Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution by natural selection. It's really simple. The fittest survive to pass on their characteristics to the next generation. Those not strong enough, fast enough or adaptive enough perish before they can hand on their unlucky legacy. But if the theory of evolution explains life's development by a simple biological mechanism, can we reach a similar understanding of our human world? What about human behaviour? Our communicating, our loving, our social arrangements, our violence and how we restrain it, our religious laws, rituals and myths, indeed the whole cultural business of being human. I've been working for a couple of years on a French-American genius called René Girard, who has been called the Charles Darwin of the human sciences. He explains human origins and culture and religion from where Charles Darwin left off. And as with Darwin, there are only a couple of basic elements. Yet a lot of people don't like Girard's theory. They say it's too comprehensive to be believable, too good to be true, or that it's too dark and violent. But also, I think, because it's not a take it or leave it thing. To understand and appreciate it, you have to open yourself to some uncomfortable home truths and be willing to change. Because only when we start to change can the world start to change. This extension of evolutionary theory by Girard involves two simple, natural, universal mechanisms. One has to do with human desire. The other has to do with the role of sacrifice in controlling violence so that stable human communities can emerge. Let's start with desire. Girard understands desire as a natural force that binds us closely with other people. We follow the desire of others because we have no authentic, independent desire of our own. Yes, we have natural appetites: thirst, hunger, sexual appetite. But without the desire of others to shape our desiring, we don't know how to fulfill these cravings. Being thirsty won't make you choose Coca-Cola, or feeling horny won't make you choose this erotic image or that sexual partner over another. We need the desire of others to turn our appetites into concrete desires. We drink Coke because the people we admire drink it, and because advertisers have learned how to direct our desire towards this object over that. We desire Coke rather than home brand cola because beautiful people in the adverts drink it. And we want to be like them. We want their mojo. We want their being. There are no ugly people in Coke adverts. There are no obvious losers in the driver's seat for BMW or Mercedes-Benz adverts. But what if the one who awakens my desire then becomes an obstacle to my fulfilling that desire? What if my friend's crush on someone makes me fall for that person? There's a play about that, by the way. It's called A Midsummer Night's Dream. What if my friend's crush on someone makes me fall for that person, and then I become my friend's rival for that person's affections? Pretty soon, our rivalry takes over. It escalates until it's not about that person we're both keen on anymore. We kind of forget about them. Instead, we become obsessed with our rival, desiring to defeat them or even to kill them. This borrowed desire, as Shakespeare called it, because Shakespeare was right onto this, rather than this borrowed desire, or this mimetic desire, as Girard himself calls it, is the basis of how we learn language and all the basic skills of life when we're children. It's a good, simple, naturally evolved mechanism that provided the human species with real evolutionary advantage. We now know, and we heard a little about this earlier this afternoon, we now know that our brains have been wired to register and follow the desires of others, as the recently discovered mirror neuron system reveals, in support of Girard's theory. But nothing is more inflammatory than envy and rivalry. Nothing is more mimetic. Violence emerges easily in human groups, as the conflicting desires of individuals are suddenly drawn together into one desire, which is to fight and kill our rival. And we become mirror images of each other. We become mirror doubles, as Girard calls the increasingly indistinguishable rivals. You can see this in its most extreme form in a violent crowd. Everyone in a violent crowd looks the same, no matter what side they're on. They behave the same, they think the same. Why? Because they are the same. They all share the one desire. The violent crowd is a mass of undifferentiated desire. There's a feedback loop that builds up and ramps up the violence. Now, in modern society, we've got the police to break up such violence. We've got the courts to punish offenders. We've got the threat of jail to stop us in the blood feud, in the vendetta, to stop us seeking payback. We've also got a world full of manufactured goods. Richard and I, we can both have a BMW instead of fighting over the only BMW that's available. But at the beginning of human evolution, we had no such protections. Here Girard's second big idea kicks in. He calls this the scapegoat mechanism, or the founding murder. Instead of unified desires driving the whole crowd towards undifferentiation and mutual destruction, one individual gets noticed, who might look a bit different, who might be disfigured, they might have a limp, or they might have different skin colour. They might draw attention, or they certainly will draw attention to themselves in some way or another, it doesn't matter how. Someone's anger, that undifferentiated anger of the crowd, someone's anger suddenly focuses on that person, and then someone else's eye follows theirs. And very suddenly, the whole mutual destructive anger of the group turns and converges on that unlucky innocent one who is lynched or stoned to death or pushed off a cliff or drowned in a lake or whatever, picking up a number of themes from ancient mythology. But then all of a sudden a miracle happens. The anger of the whole crowd has suddenly been discharged, miraculously discharged. And around the murdered victim, an unexpected, miraculous peace takes hold. People snap back to normal, and a sense of awe falls on the group over this remarkable, unexpected development. This is the only way that culture can form. And part of culture is religion. Religion records and replays this crucial, miraculous incident. And it provides the basis for how human groups might hang together in future without falling back into an escalating crisis of unstoppable violence. The murdered scapegoat becomes the focus of group order. This is how gods emerge in human history. Religion is the combination of laws, rituals, and myths that grow up to preserve the order that emerged unexpectedly from this founding murder. Laws direct our desires in non-rivalrous directions, while rituals let off steam by directing symbolic violence towards an animal or an object rather than a human victim. Myths tell supernatural stories about the origins of society, but myths are in fact stories that safely encode the memory of the founding murder. Girard has written whole books unpacking the myths of Greek and Roman antiquity and of tribal civilizations worldwide to reveal recurring patterns. It's just that all these myths keep the violent origins of culture under wraps. Why tempt fate by letting the memory of violence come out too clearly in case it spurs further violence? So when people tell you that religion is the enemy of human well-being and the cause of violence, and a lot of atheists will tell you that, they're only half right. Yes, religion is linked to violence, but its aim is to deploy the repressed memory of violence to restrain worse violence from breaking out. It's as if religion is a homeopathic deployment of violence. So religion for Girard is a sort of necessary evil along the evolutionary path to stable human societies and institutions. Such religion he calls the false sacred, or deviated transcendence. You can see how a simple mechanism of desire, escalating rivalry, then finally the discharge of violence on a scapegoat can make human life together possible. With religion, religio, literally binding society together with its ligatures. But then, Girard introduces a third element to the story. And this is the one that has made him really unpopular. Girard is a convert to Christianity as an adult because he realised something that he never anticipated. He realised that in the Bible, in the Psalms and the prophets, and especially in the Gospels with their stories of the passion and death of Jesus, something new and highly disruptive has emerged in human history. The innocent scapegoat suddenly finds a voice. The cry of the unjustly treated one erupts in the Bible for the first time ever. And in Jesus, we see the false sacred fully revealed. We see this mechanism outed for the first time in human history. The whole world, Jewish and Roman, ganged up to lynch Jesus because he called their law and religion into question. He told them, after all, that he came not to bring peace but a sword. And I think Girard is the first person to ever help us really understand what that statement of Jesus might mean. I come to bring not peace but a sword. That is, Jesus comes to disturb the false, edgy peace that is based on the threat of violence and the silencing of critical voices. The Pax Romana was not very peaceful, nor is the Pax Americana. But the Pax Christiana still has some mileage in it. But the violent cultural upheaval that Jesus brought, was actually a non-violent upheaval. His resurrection reveals God's desire to transform the world in peace, to make human reconciliation really possible on a peaceful basis. The resurrection isn't Jesus too, he's back and he's angry. The first words out of the mouth of the risen Jesus are what? Bishop Browning? The first
If they weren't Bishop Browning, no.
That was a subsequent statement of Jesus, and a very clear one, no doubt. The first words out of the mouth of Jesus were, "Peace be with you," out of the mouth of the risen Jesus. This wasn't payback. This was a new beginning for the whole human family. Christians and churches have regularly misrepresented Jesus and his message, but his impact remains. Jesus' death is anything but a typical religious sacrifice, despite what many Christians will tell you. And Jesus' resurrection is anything but a typical religious myth, as many liberal Christians will tell you it is. Jesus offers us a choice about our future: self-destruction through war and environmental crisis, or else conversion of heart, learning to desire as Jesus desires, which is to desire non-rivalrously and hence to desire non-violently, before it's too late. Thank you.